Alright, so I'm being guided to talk about this. I'm going to have to recount this as carefully as possible because this is something that I've never said out loud. I've never talked about to people. So I know who my soulmate is. I knew about him all my life, and I would even go as far as to say I remember beyond this world before I incarnated here. And so when I had met him, actually prior to this, it kept occurring where I was slowly repressing this information and my abilities, and I was being guided to leave it behind so I can kind of live a more normal life where I wasn't so fixated on the spiritual world and what they're telling me and what I can see and cannot see. So leading up to meeting him, I'll just say like right before I officially met him, it was as if all of this repressed abilities just came flooding through, and I was being guided to just do things that were outside of my normal activities or my personality. And while this is occurring, you would think that I would think rationally, I would say, hey, think more rational. And yet when I receive information, like true guidance, it comes in where it's just the truth. Like it just feels so, like it has no fluctuation or doubt or fear or confusion or excitement associated with like human emotions. It has no human emotion. It supersedes that as just the truth, the answer, the guidance. And so I basically, long story short, I met him and I had this like realization at that point. It's kind of like when you meet your pen pal, like you talk to them all the time and you know everything about them and they know everything about you, but then you actually meet each other and it's kind of this shock, this like, oh, this is really real, you're actually in front of me and I can actually communicate with you on a deeper level than I had actually realized. And so that was like that was the first meeting, and while we were around each other, it was like I was just gathering so much information. So a lot of the concepts that I talk about today are things that I had learned through him, through meeting him, because he was the one who was guiding me through this. And on a spiritual level, not even in a physical level, but spiritually, it was this version of him. It was not necessarily, it was his higher self, but it's beyond the higher self. Like that's the way that I see things, is like you have your body, your physical body, and your inner thoughts that you express, and then your inner thoughts are either guided by your free will and just your external circumstances, real life stuff, or it's, if you're not too intuitive, or sometimes you are, it's like the inner guidance, which is guided by people communicating with you on the other side, or your spirit guides or guardian angels, however you want to call them, or it's your higher self. And then there's this level beyond that that's more of like your true self, like your pure self. And then even from there's like layers of that. So the way that I would represent a human being, like us existing here, is like your soul dipping your toe into water, and that toe being dipped into the water is your experience on earth. Like it's so minuscule, but it's so significant, so important. That sensation can be felt and registered throughout the entire body, right? So anyway, throughout all this, I expanded my awareness and a different level, of a more mature level. And so every time this would happen, it was like I was living 3 different lives. It's like I lived my practical life, then I lived this other life where I was suppressing the information that I was getting, and then I lived this other life where I was accepting of it. And so the things that I was doing in my life, it was being navigated by feeling as if that was the truth, but still suppressing. You know what I'm saying? Like, kind of, but probably. So anyway, there was this moment that this is what they were telling me to talk about, this specific moment, when I met my spirit guides, like saw them officially, and why this is important. I don't know, I guess someone needs to hear this. So I was standing in the kitchen and I was staring at him. He wasn't looking at me. He was looking away. I was staring at him, and I was asking him in my head, I'm like, what's the truth? Like, how do I actually know you? Why do I feel this way? Like, what is going on here? What's the truth? And as it was almost like this energetic chokehold that I had on him, like forcing him to tell me. And as I was doing this, it was like this melting of realities where I was not on drugs, you guys, okay? I don't do drugs. I was not laced with anything. Anyway, side note for that. But it was like this melting of realities where I started hearing our guardian angels, like our guides, like our direct guides. I'll call them guides just for shorter. So it was like direct guides. So we all have them. I've seen me personally, like the ones that I've seen, so I don't know if there's more, but there's like one specific guide that has agents. They don't have agency over you, that's the wrong wording, but they guide you directly through lifetimes and lifetimes and lifetimes. Like, they are assigned to you as like your bestie. And then you have these other guardian angels that are around you, other guides, and they kind of come in and out of your life and lifetimes depending on the relevancy of what you're going through, what you're experiencing. And they are all on different levels of awareness, as far as like their soul's expansion or their soul's journey. So just like human beings, like some people are more, I won't compare it to spirituality, but it's like some people are more grounded and kind and generous and loving versus people who are more restrictive with their energy and restrictive with their selves, like more of a hoarding mentality where they're keeping everything within them. They're very restricted. And so that's kind of how, and so you could compare that to emotional intelligence and also just, like the maturity of a person, like emotional maturity of a person, or like the comfortability in life, I guess, and acceptance of life. And that kind of progresses on the spiritual side of, like, basically why we reincarnate over and over and over again is because we're trying to become more advanced spiritually and heighten our spirituality and basically get rid of all the darker aspects of us, like anything that we would on a soul's level feel guilty about, of just being a bad person, honestly, but of course that's debatable of what that is. So anyway, why was I talking about that? Just to kind of explain all that, I guess. So, as I was trying to force this information out. I could see, I could hear. I wasn't seeing them, but it was starting to become figures. I could see them interjecting. Like his and mine, they were interjecting, and they were like telling me, like, you need to stop doing that. You need to stop forcing this information. You need to leave it be. And then his was saying, like, don't do it. Don't tell her. But he wanted to tell me. And so when I heard it, I heard family, like soul family. Like we're family. It was like, that was like just that link, that missing link that I needed. Like as soon as I could tune into his energy, as soon as he was receptive, as soon as he opened that up, it was like fast track to the spiritual realm. And it was just too strong. I was too strong to basically hold my energy back. And so as this was happening, it was like energetic chaos, like chaos in the spiritual world of just like, what is going on here? This wasn't part of the plans. This shouldn't have been happening. You need to stop doing this. And for me, I'm just perpetually curious, and I just wanted to know this information. I was just really trying to figure out what was going on here and why I was able to pick up all this information. And, you know, everything that I was suppressing, I wanted to know if that was true or not. Which is like so silly because, anyway, just basically because I would know it, then I would suppress it, then I would want to hear it again, then I would suppress it. So it's like nothing was ever really enough, it seemed like. And so basically I saw, it was like layers again of like heightened awareness. So as this was occurring, I had this thought in my mind of like, oh my gosh, like, so this is real. What does this mean? And everyone, and I mean everyone is like, oh my guardian angels, like everyone was like gathering around his and mine. They're like, you won't get it. You won't understand right now. You're going to misconstrue this information if you continue doing this. And so it was like my higher self and my thoughts were kind of combating towards each other, and then eventually like coinciding with like my bigger self, like my more perfect self, I guess, my whole self, where, let me try and clarify this a bit. So basically, my higher self got in line with what I was trying to figure out, where I was like, what does this mean? Like, we reincarnate, like, we were brother and sister, like, I was your mother, what is all of this? And it was very disturbing to me, obviously, because I wasn't ready to know this, where I'm like, that's weird if that's real, and now I'm attracted to you. Like, that's disturbing. And so that was that reassuring message from my guardian angels of like, exactly, you're not going to understand, so just stop. And I didn't stop because I really wanted to know. And I got to this place where it was like it was a representation of these two resting energies. It was he and I, and our energy wrapped up, like, I could compare this to a baby in the umbilical cords. It's like this energetic fetus, I guess, with two fetuses with the umbilical cords, and they're just all entwirled with this energy. And that was showing me, like, I could compare it to Avatar. Like, you know how they have those little pods where people are, they're in those little pods, and then they're like mentally experiencing that other world? That's what it was like. And this happened before Avatar, by the way, you guys. But anyway, so it was like that, like these two bodies that were just resting, but they were experiencing life. And it was through that they were experiencing it, you know? It's really strange, really, really strange and fascinating. But as I was looking at that, I could see there was another higher path. And because I was gaining so much energetic momentum, I knew I can get up there. So as I looked at this, I saw him, like energetically, he was there, and he was being rushed away immediately, like pulled away. I could feel his energy pulling away from me, and the cords were getting untangled around us, around those fetuses, I guess, that were representing us, and they were being pulled away. And he was getting upset because he's like, now he changed his mind. He's like, you need to stop. This is too, you're going too far with this. This is too much. We're going to be pulled apart. We're going to, like, you need to stop doing this. And I knew right then in an instant, I'm like, I could hurt him. I can hurt this path. Or I could go see what's going on here. And I didn't care in that moment. I was really seeking this information. So I was like, you know what? It is what it is. And I went up. And the reason they were pulling me away is because I tried to look at them. I tried to look at his extended guardian angels, and they didn't want me to see them. So I had already, prior to this, had seen his spirit guide, his main spirit guide, and that's just like a whole nother story, but they didn't want me to see that. And so I had this feeling that they were all congregating with each other prior to me being there. So it was as if, like, currently, like what happens right now for all of us is there's so much chatter up there. There's like another lives. There's lives existing up there that are guiding us through this life. And so, yes, we have free will, but we also have the guidance and the will of spirit that works through us. And so that's either through inspired thought, inspired action, us doing things that it's like, I don't know why I did it, but I felt like I needed to do it. It's also sometimes like when things work in mysterious ways and you don't even realize, you know, it's like one thing leads to another, and it's like I didn't have any of those like impulsive desires, but the spirits are working to help this happen. And I know, like, that's kind of interjecting with fate and destiny. That's also part of it too, and they're helping guide us through our destined paths, with a little bit of seasoning sprinkled in. So when I got up there, I saw so many guardian angels. And they looked like people, and they were at a long table. They're at a long table, and it was as if they were just discussing life. They were just discussing things that were occurring in my life, things that were going to occur in my life. What role, they're just talking. They're in the middle of a conversation, and they were, I'm going to call them people now, or I don't know, I'll interchange it, but there were people that were kind of dealing with the commotion, like they were aware of the commotion that had just occurred, and so they were kind of scattering too, not running away from me, but just trying to resolve and understand what was happening, because it happened so fast. And then there were others that were still so deeply engaged in conversation that they hadn't been paying attention, because I feel like there's always disorder and just a lot of movement when you have a lot of people around. That's not unusual. And I looked at this smaller group. There was like 3 or 4 of them, maybe 5, and I was looking at them, and there was a female talking to a male, and it looked like he was drinking coffee, or tea or something. He had a cup, and she looked at me, and I could see, like, when she saw me, when he was looking at her, it was that immediate reaction, like, oh no, like he knew immediately that I was there. And the look in her eyes was, I don't know how to say, like, it's something I would never forget. And they all looked at me, and they all had that similar look, like when they all looked at me, where it's like compassionate eyes. And they were under the impression that I had committed suicide, because this was all a download. Like, they never spoke this to me, but it was just this download of information of, like, I had a history of killing myself, where my journey was so stressful that I would just self-sabotage and find a way, like whether it's intentionally or through drug use or whatever I would do, where I would just cut my life short, cut my journey short. And they weren't disappointed, they weren't upset, they weren't pitying me. It was just compassion, like, we love you, we are so thankful to reunite with you, but we understand that, you know, like, this time, basically it was implied like this time was supposed to be different, which it is, thankfully. It is totally different this time around, but that was, I don't know, that's what and so anyway, this male, I felt so connected to him, so close to him, like a father figure. Like, I just love him so much. And he came, like, he stood up and he came closer to embrace me, and you could see there was this thought in his head that didn't fully complete, but the females around him and there was another, like, male around him, an older male, they were thinking that, they started looking around because they were like, wait a minute, where are the guardian angels that are supposed to have guided you across? You're like, you're supposed to be guided across to get here safely and to understand what happened, all this, you know, like, so basically when you die, there are guardian angels that bring you here. This is all information. This is why I know the information now, is because of this particular situation and things that happened before this, but this specifically is how I understood all of this, is they were like, wait a minute, where are they? And it was like kind of panicky, like this is very different. How did you find your way so easily without any assistance? How did you bring yourself here so quickly or accurately? And so there was like this implied thought sort of you know, like when you have these racing thoughts, so they're like, well, maybe it's because you've gained so much knowledge or power during this life that it was just easier for you, or because you're so, like, you've been yearning all of your life to be with us, that it's like you just knew where to go very easily. But it was still kind of overwhelming for them to think that even if you had all those, you still need guidance, because where they are is like it's like a maze to get there. It's a puzzle almost. And you have a very higher chance of becoming lost. So as this was happening, my guardian angels that were supposed to guide me showed up. They like appeared from, it's kind of like a door of a basement, like so below, like they had to heighten their energy, and they intervened. They were like, I'm gonna say screaming, but it's chaos and screaming, but it's like a calm chaos. I don't know how to really describe it, because it doesn't get so crazy over there. I mean, it can to some capacity, but it kind of tips off at a certain energy. So anyway, they intervened, and they were saying like, don't touch her, do not touch her, don't touch her, don't touch her, don't touch her. And I realized there that if they would have touched me, it's like the kiss of death, because I'm not allowed, like energetically, we're not the same match. And so if they were to physically or like spiritually, physically touch me, then I don't know what would happen. I have brain aneurysm or heart attack or something. I have no idea, but it would not have ended well for me. Like you cannot touch those guardian angels. You can't. And so that's when everything was going around. They're like, what is going on here? And I could see in his eyes, because I was really connected to him the most. Like I felt so safe, and you could see like he started kind of smirking, like kind of mischievous, like, oh my gosh, like he found humor in this, right? He was like kind of like, I can't believe you did this. Like this is kind of ridiculous, but very funny. And it's almost like he's like my true father in a way. Like I see him as a father figure. And so it was kind of like, well, that's my girl. Like, of course you're going to do something like this. But I would have never guessed it. Like, that's very weird. Or impressive or something. I don't know. And so there was just all this going on. They're like, you need to go back. They're fighting with, like, not fighting, but you know what I mean. So the ones that are supposed to usher me back to the other side, back to my physical body, they're like, you need to go back. You cannot be up here. You can't keep looking around here. Because I wanted to keep going. After that, I was like, I'm going to greet them and I'm just going to see how far I can go. But I was going to say in reality, but it's not really. I mean, it is reality to me. But realistically, I don't think that I could have gotten any higher up. I was kind of like getting distracted there, and that was enough information for me. Because I was happy there. And that kind of verified everything that I kept seeing and kept feeling and experiencing. But anyway, they were just telling me like I need to leave, and I'm like, no, I want to know what's going on here. I want to talk to everybody and gather as much information. I'm not going anywhere. And so it was just this back and forth, back and forth. And it was my higher self against these guardian angels. And my spirit guide, like the one that's assigned to me, was there as well, that was trying to force. And basically they're saying like my energy was too powerful, because the momentum had gained, and I was so like a pit bull. Like I was just so fixated. Like, I'm not going anywhere. I want to stay here and know what's going on. I want to be a part of this. That they couldn't force me back. They were trying to just force it when I needed to go willingly. And so there was divine intervention. And what happened here, I didn't know at the time that it was an archangel. I just knew that this was some higher being. And as soon as they appeared, it was like golden yellow. Actually, I have here's a deck right here. And it was like orangey yellow gold. And they appeared as a light. And as soon as that appeared, it was like calm, so calm. Everyone just immediately just obeyed and calmed down. And even I calmed down, and I bowed my head. I looked away because I just knew instinctively to honor this being and to look away. And they communicated. My guardian angels were communicating with this entity, which was, I believe it was an archangel, what was happening. And so the archangel already knew, but it's kind of like the archangel being like, okay, tell me your side of this. What's going on here? So they told them, and they were telling me, my guardian angels were telling me throughout this back and forth, they're like, you need to go and you need to forget this. And that really upset me, because I'm like, I don't ever want to forget this. I'm not going to forget this. I don't want to leave. I want to know what's going on. Don't make me lose this. And this archangel, as they were talking to the archangel, my rational mind started kicking in, my curious mind started kicking in, and I was like, I'm just gonna sneak a peek at them. Like, what's the worst that can happen? That's why I'm here. So as soon as that thought came into my mind, they downloaded a thought into my head that was like, I know what you're doing. I know what you're thinking. Basically, this is all implied, but it's like, you can look if you want. That's your choice. But you know what's right and what isn't. Like, you know what the right thing to do is. And so I did not look. I did not look at them. And basically their energy was so powerful that they were able to force me out of that vision. And, you know, it is what it is. And so when I came back to reality, I guess, my body, the thoughts that were going through my head was, what the heck was that? That was so weird. What does that mean? I'm never going to forget it. So there was like part of me that was like still arguing with my guardian angels. I'm like, you're not going to make me forget this. I refuse to ever let this vision go. It's not going to happen. You're not going to make me do it. And then I was like, does this mean that Indians are right? Because at the time I'm like, Indians believe in reincarnation. So is that true? Like, that has to mean that it's true, because at the very beginning, like I said, like, I was seeing that we were we were different people to each other in different lifetimes over and over and over again. And then to meet my guardian angels and them kind of implying that this had happened before, I'm like, whoa, so reincarnation's real? What does this mean? And obviously I didn't fully get it, so they were right. But what happened after that, like literally my life completely changed after that. And while I didn't forget it, obviously, I got so distracted and so busy in life that was just another suppressed vision. It was like, that's not important. I have real life things to deal with. So I don't care, you know, I don't care, which is kind of weird, but anyway, that's my story, and that's what I'm sticking to. Or what's that new meme, or what? Well, it's not memes. What do you call them? Like TikToks. It's like, so that's my life. Anyway, I'm pulling these because this is going to be, if you watch all this, I'm giving you a final message from up there, from your guardian angels. And an archangel, because an archangel came through. I'm going to pull one more. So, what I'm seeing is to release tension. I feel like this is mental tension that coincides with believing in yourself. It's like releasing these preconceived ideas or notions about yourself or the world around you, and just accept things for the way they are or how they come to you, and kind of just, it's a peaceful transition and a peaceful release into this new life I see for you. We have step into the unknown. Curiosity keeps us heading down new paths. So take a chance. And I feel like this is taking a chance on yourself, taking this new opportunity for yourself to just be guided by spirit, to be guided by your inner wisdom and the truth of you believing in yourself and following your dreams is that you are ready, you are capable, you are prepared, you are enough, you gathered enough information and wisdom and strength and understanding of what this situation is, that you can navigate this new path for yourself. You can carve this new path for yourself, even if it's unknown, even if you're unsure, because you're prepared. We have Archangel Raphael. Raphael helps you heal in mind, body, and spirit. I would look specifically into Archangel Raphael. I actually have more Archangel cards right here, so I'll pull another one for you if you'd like to into this. But it feels like your path is being illuminated. And it's an emotional opportunity for you, or emotional path, or whatever you're doing. It's going to be very emotional for you, but it's being illuminated. Like the way that I see this glitter, if you've ever seen The Little Mermaid, that's what it reminds me of, is that river that they're on, where, oh, look up if you haven't seen it or you don't know specifically. It's the song where he starts singing Kiss the Girl, the little lobster, I think. And the water is illuminated. Actually, Jamaica and some other places have that. It's like a microorganism or something in the water where it lights up. Look into those too if you'd like. But anyway, so that's what I'm saying. And so also to know that I think there's some sort of tension. I feel tension. And whether this is tension in your mind, tension within yourself, tension with other people, or disagreements, or just misunderstandings, there's something like that. Or this could just indicate towards this feeling of being unsure of yourself, not fully confident of yourself. That's going to resolve itself. Just know that, at least. Like, just follow that inner wisdom of it's going to work itself out. The creative writing, peace, all is well. Hello from heaven. So I'll read these out to you. Archangel Samuel, peace comes from remembering that only love is real. Everything else is just your perception of something, right? Like, fear is the perception of being unsafe or not having something, right? Like, all of these things are just, like, your feelings come and go, they change. Love is the only constant. Creative writing, Archangel Gabriel, make time to write down your thoughts in a journal or pen, an article or book. And I also see that if there's someone that you want to reach out to, there's something that you want to say, some way that you want to express yourself in the world, or even like maybe if there's a contract or something to move you forward. That's what I see, is like you're moving forward on a new path to pursue that, to do that, to follow that. Archangel Jeremiel, everything is happening exactly as it's supposed to, with hidden blessings you will soon understand. And so that's also saying how you will be okay in this. You're going to be more than okay in this. And you aren't aware, you aren't privy fully. You have this, if you think of the best case scenario of what can happen in this, that's still, part of it is inner wisdom and inner knowing and communication and communication with the spirits beyond. And it's also you being aware of your true path, right? Like what you incarnated here and what your future could potentially entail if you so choose this path. And yet, even then, you don't know the full information. And even just, it's kind of like this message that I'm getting of, you can only feel so much with your imagination, right? When you're actually living it, it feels so much more comforting, and it's the reality of it is better than the imagination, right? You still have that sense of yearning or projecting yourself into the future. When it's now, like your reality now, when you start doing that and walking that path now and making the changes now, oh my gosh, it's going to be incredible, absolutely incredible, almost unexplainable. And we have hello from heaven, Archangel Azrael. Your loved ones in heaven are doing fine. Let go of worries and feel their loving blessings. And so that's the message from the other side is, hey, we're here for you. We're communicating with you. We're guiding you through this. We love you. We're proud of you. Don't worry about us. Don't even really overly, it's not saying don't worry about you. Like, obviously, take some real life precautions here. Don't go flying off the handle or anything, but walk in peace, walk in love, and walk in reassurance that you're going to be fine. You're going to be okay. You're going to be more than okay. And they believe in you. They respect you. And they honor your individual path. So that's my life, and that's your life. Bye.